My great-grandfather, Jack Yates, was born into slavery in Virginia. And at the time that he was born, the slave owner's wife was also having a child. And the child was born, but the mother died. So the slave owner brought Jack Yates's mother and him into the house to take care of his child. And so therefore the two boys grew up together as Jack Yates's mother took care of them. Now, a big difference was at that time, the enslaved boy could not learn to read and write or go to school. He had to stay and work. But in the evening, he and the slave owner's son played together. And in playing together and being boys out away from the house and doing things together, whatever he learned in school that day, he taught to Jack. And so he and Jack had school themselves after he went to school. And no one was aware that they were reading and writing and doing the things that had happened at school. And so that's how Jack Yates learned how to read and write. He was freed as a slave when the Emancipation Proclamation came about. But his wife and their children were on a different plantation in Virginia. And that slave owner was determined not to stop having slaves. So Texas was a place that was continuing to have slaves even after slavery ended. So the wife and the children were being brought to Texas as slaves. And so he wanted to continue to take care of his family and be with his family. So in order to do that, he had to go back into slavery to come with the family. In Texas, things changed on the 19th of June. And at that time, General Granger came into Galveston, the port of Galveston, Texas, and brought about 2,000 soldiers with him and explained to everybody that all people who were enslaved had to be freed at that time. In many instances, the slave owners said, you can stay here, but you're gonna have to work and you're not gonna get paid. My great-grandfather, Reverend Jack Yates, brought his family from Matagorda County, which is not far from the Houston area, into the Houston area where they began living as a family. Every year they celebrated what we call Juneteenth. They wanted a place that they could call their own and go to other than church in order to celebrate the Emancipation Proclamation. And so my great-grandfather knew this man who owned this 10 acres of land, and he had been trying to get him to sell the land to him. Well, he wanted this tract of land because he thought it was large enough that people could come and enjoy themselves. They could come, they could do educational projects, different things together as a people, and it was theirs. In 1872, the park was sold to my great-grandfather and the pastor of what was the Trinity Church, which was also located downtown in the area near where the Antioch Church was laid. And it was actually the first park in Houston, period. And it was the first park in Texas at that time. It was really quite an accomplishment for them to do that. The park came under the city in the 1920s. At that time, it was given to the city because the people felt like it would be sustained better by the city. But it was the first park in the city of Houston and in the state of Texas from the time that they purchased the park in 1872. Every year, there was a Juneteenth celebration in the park. There was a time after desegregation, maybe for a few years, that the celebrations kind of waned and went down because people were going other places and doing other things. But then they started back the celebrations. He was quite a visionary leader in that he helped to develop what again was Freedman's Town, in helping people to buy land, build homes, to start a community, to have different kinds of businesses. He was also a businessman. He had his own businesses, and also he helped them to start businesses. He helped to develop a community, and besides that, he helped to develop churches throughout greater Houston area, as well as throughout the state of Texas and the western region of the United States. In states as far away as Colorado, he helped to build and start churches. And schools, that was quite a feat for someone that had been enslaved and then coming out of slavery, being able to lead a community, to do the kinds of things they needed to do to build their own institutions in order to be able to be self-supportive, as well as not only for themselves, but to grow for their families and to have schools and colleges and things that he helped to start. To me, the recognition of Juneteenth as a holiday was long overdue because many Americans did not understand what Juneteenth was all about. My grandfather lived in a time when things were not easy, or a time when people of color were not treated very well at all. I've lived through and seen many things that were not things that we would want to be considered as what we would want, how we would want to live. We've all got to learn how to respect each other, to work together as people, no matter what nationality you were, what country your people came from, what country you are now in. If you're an American, you need to stand up and be an American and work together as people.